Everyone doing? I don't have Jax with me tonight, but I have a good show nonetheless. Hope everyone's having a great day out there in YouTube land. Okay, let me share this screen and we could take a look at some of these funds and see how we finished up the day. How does that sound? All right, let's look at the chart first. All right, NASDAQ. This is the daily chart of the NASDAQ. Here is the 30-minute chart of the NASDAQ. But I can tell by looking at the daily, we finished under the profit box. So that's going to be some kind of loss on that one. Unfortunately, kind of surprised they didn't buy the 2-day options on these because they do that sometimes. Tomorrow's expiration day. I'm going to check that in a second. Anyway, gosh darn it, Jax. I forgot to bring Jax out here. Now he has his feelings hurt. All right. Uh, no, no, they were just one day. So interesting. Be interesting to see what they do. For tomorrow, they'll probably sell Mondays. For tonight, that's probably what they'll do. All right. Well, anyway, we needed to check this out anyway and see how big of a loss this turned into, how many points in the money it was. Hmm. All right. I don't know what's going on. All right. Well, let's see if the charts work. I'm sorry about this. I don't know why every time I've been working on the computer out here outside all day. Internet's been perfect. I wonder if it's because of the live stream, but I don't know why. I don't know why it has to choose now to do this. If it wasn't a live stream, if I was just recording it, that's one thing I hate about live stream. If I was just recording it, I would just do it over. In any event, gosh darn it. I think they were 3 for 3 losers today, but I'm trying to see if there's anything it'll let us check. This is ridiculous. See if we can look at the buffer report. All right, this is the 1-day change. Not a lot of buffering going on today. Look at Tesla down just about as much as Tesla. Same thing with TSLP. Same thing with just about all of them. Dizzo led on the way down a little bit. FBY, Fibby led on the way up. Coney led on the way up. Some of them doing what they're supposed to do. Infly leading on the way down. Infly had earnings after the bell today. I think I looked and they were or not Infly, Netflix did. And I looked and Netflix was down 6% after hours last time I checked. All right, let's look at the single day of the indexes. Of course, the main benchmark is the NASDAQ. It was down 0.5 point, but Triple QI led on the way down. It was leading to lunch also. Some of them behaving, but most of them led on the way down. I hate to say it. It was not a great day in the high yield space. Not having anything to do with the market pulling back, just having to do with that. Usually we get a lot more buffer than we get. All right, so here is just the month of April. So I want to compare something. So for the day, Tesla's down 3.4, Tesla's down 3.5. But for the month, Tesla's down 12.9. Tesla's down 12.3. Well, that one and ULTY are leading on the way down for the entire month of April, which is almost 3 weeks long at this point. So same thing with old TSLP leading on the way down. So it has not been a great month, obviously. I mean, the pullback's one thing, but I'm more concerned with the lack of buffer I'm seeing from some of these names. So I'll keep an eye on it, though. It's just one data point of many to look at. There's a lot of data points that look fine, like this data point. This is 30 days. This just goes back 30 calendar days, and this is rolling. So it goes back to a different 30, because it's rolling. This chart right here, I just made, that's why I was late coming on here. I just made the one that's the month of April static. I just found a way to make it static where it's easier. I used to have to change that number every day to make it stay on. Anyway, it's a piece of cake. I figured it out. This one, though, does change itself every day. So this goes back 30 days from today. Okay, so, but this looks better. This is what we'd expect. So, you know, on the other hand, a few days ago, this one was looking all right too. And this one is kind of, we're just following the trends. This one is kind of disintegrating. All right. Let's see what else we have over here. This is still running super sketch, super sus. All right. Well, here's one we haven't seen yet. This is the 30-day with all the indexes. And this is interesting to see. Now, this is what I would expect. This is how high yield funds are supposed to work. And of course, these are the index ones. I love these. The index ones are less risky, and you can even see it just kind of in the graphs, or in the sense they have some less risky features lots of times. Anyway, and you can kind of see it on the 30-day graph. Lots more buffer going on in index world than in single name world. Single name world has some good buffering going on too. I shouldn't say that. And actually, some of the single name ones look like they're ahead by more. Anyway, it's just two different ways of solving the same problem. Actually, lots of the single name ones have tons of buffer. Look at Coney. All right, but in any event, this is pretty consistent. I don't think, how many do we have on the naughty list? We have QDTE, XDTE, and ULTY, and SPY-T on the 30-day naughty list. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to get a new favorite fund. Freaking QQQY hasn't been doing great lately. Look at QQQY leading on the way down just by a 1 basis point, but still that just hasn't been a great day. But that surprises me. The reason this report was late is because I spent like an hour and a half going through here, and I found an error in the April calculations, and I fixed some of the programming, and I made it work better, and then I tested it and made sure it was good. And I looked at the other ones, and I thought they were good. But now that I see that SPY-T is leading on the way down over a 30-day period, that's the next thing I'm going to check. Since the internet's not working that well, I'm probably just going to let you guys go anyway. Maybe we can have some Q&A. Hey, Brad, what's up? What are you doing up there, Brad? Are you Whistler, Brad? Is that you or is that somebody else? I figured you might be Canadian, but I don't know. I have several Brads. I mean, that's a stupid question. I probably have 10 Brads that follow me, and I probably have a couple of them that are commenters. But I try to remember my commenters' names. The thing is, sometimes your handle, people's handle on their YouTube, what it shows up on comments is different than their other handle. But anyway, yeah, I know it. I wasn't happy with about spite with. I can handle the way down. I just can't being way down. I'm not thrilled about it, but I don't like it being down more than the benchmark. That is not the way it is designed. Anyway, I'm going to look into that and see what's going on. Whistler, yeah, I thought because I've seen your name. Yeah, perfect, perfect. Well, that's beautiful. I've never been to Whistler, but I've heard great stuff. All right, well, let's get back here. The internet's not running great. How many of you guys are on here? I didn't even check. There's probably not many. I bet I got Brad and about 3 or 4 others because, and I do appreciate you guys. I'm just trying to do an end of day update, but this update is really late. Most people have gone home. There's only 4 of you guys watching, but that's fine. Let's just get this update over with. I wanted to do some spreadsheet looking at, and then I tried to get on my spreadsheets and they just shut down for a second. Okay, it looks like I have spreadsheet ability back. So we were last looking at triple QI. Yeah, and these sons of guns lost, they were, gosh darn it, 1.1 million today and 2.7 yesterday. In any event, it's been a bad month. We need to write this month off. 89 cents a share negative right now at this point. All right, so IWMY, let's just check and see. So these guys were trying to make 1,000,001 and ended up only losing 189,000. I mean, that's not the end of the world, but what is it's not been the NASDAQ's month, has it? Led on the way up, lead on the way down, I guess. So Russell actually didn't, is relatively stronger. You can see it's barely able to get out of its Bollinger Bands, and when it does, it gets pushed back inside. And today they closed one period outside, it looks like, but then the rest of them they couldn't. So yes, Bollinger Band is stronger than NASDAQ. I mean, I'm sorry, Russell stronger than NASDAQ, especially when you can use the Bollinger Bands to try to make an apples to apples comparison about the relative momentum between the two of them. I mean, this one closed 3 periods in a row outside and did make a little bit of progress. I would say SPX is the second, and then the weakest is for sure triple QI. Okay, well let's look at some of these other ones. Let's look at old TLT, see if we're still in the valley of death. Probably are. This thing's still making extrinsic premium. And probably more, maybe even the last month, since bond volatility's been elevated. All right. We're going to compare this with something called the MOVE Index. Have you guys ever heard of the MOVE Index? I don't know if I can get it on. It's the Bond Volatility Index. Yes, it's bond. It's like the Bond VIVX. I think it's like the volatility of the TLT, basically. Move right there. So new price scan. All right, give me just a second, and this is going to be a stunning display. All right, well, Move Index. There's I'm trying to think of the guy's name, Harley Bassman or something. I've heard his name before. I saw an interview. He invented this thing. It's the Bond VIX, and he works. The only reason I've heard of him, I saw an interview, and I think that his name's Harley or something like that. Anyway, they work at I think he works at a long volatility shop now, or like a hedge fund or something. And I was watching an interview. I think it was Mike Green from Simplified that used to work with him. Anyway, they were talking about this. Anyway, this is actually quite a good index, and I'll look at it sometime. So it measures bond volatility. So we could use this as a proxy for dividends. And you can see whenever TLT was up here higher, the end of March, 1st of April, volatility was in the 90s. Then we jumped up to 120. That's whenever Tress started making money. Tress monetizes bond volatility. I did not ask Jay about the MOVE index. I think there's other bond volatility indexes as well. But anyway, I'm just going to start checking that one out. That's interesting. Somebody needs to make a volatility index for Bitcoin. They probably do, but gosh, Jax, I'm on a live stream. I can't come get you. Here, I'm going to go get him real quick. You got something here. Jackson, you're ready. Jackson, come in. Thanks for your patience, guys. Let me put him on his leash so he doesn't run off. All right. Anyway, so what I was saying about Tress is hopefully we'll have higher payments this month, since they're presumably collecting more money from the from TLT, from the TLT volatility, which is elevated right now. Let's look at a daily. Really want this chart to turn around, being that Bitcoin seems to be kind of a precursor for risk assets generally. So does the NASDAQ, and it did terrible today. So that's the NASDAQ is probably the OG of precursors for risk assets. I've seen systems before. I got bought a system before that I got money back when you used to have to buy systems, and they would, I was a book, and it was like not from a normal publisher. It was like a big, thick book. It cost like $200, and it was some guys who were selling an S&P system. But basically, I read it. It was interesting and stuff. The system was whenever NASDAQ is up, buy S&P. This was in the late 90s or the mid 90s, probably, that I spent the money on that. But, a lot of people do the same thing today, or just, it's just a trend following system. Go whichever way NASDAQ does, because it's, all right. Well, lately that's not been real positive. Okay, here's daily Bitcoin. Daily Bitcoin at least put in a green bar. Let's look at Coinbase daily, see if we can turn this one around. Look at this. This is why it's good to look at multiple time frames. I just noticed there's a gap on the chart right here back from March 1st. Friday, March 1st, we had a big up open, and never got filled. It looks like they either filled it. They filled it. They came down here and filled it. So maybe that's all they wanted to do, or maybe now they've done that, it'll start going the other way. Or maybe there's more unfinished business below. There's also a gigantic gap right here. So logic would tell you, or order flow would tell you, that if this gap doesn't hold us, if we get under this gap, the next possible place to maybe look at, there's other ones too, would be the 150 area on down to the 143 area on Coinbase. Anyway, I'm not trying to jinx. Let's look at Coney. See how bad Coney looks by comparison. It doesn't look that bad. I mean, it doesn't look like it's just going straight down, and the index is still solid. It's this one gets a lot of the upside. This one's one of the good guys, or it has been. So that's the thing. Here's another thing, and I don't think I've told you guys about this. Here's another thing that I missed initially that I forgot about. that's a good case, that makes a good case for the yield max ETF as opposed to Defiance. I've made all kinds of there's all kinds of great cases you can make for the diversity of the indexes. But on single name issues, occasionally they can hit like a state where their volatility can go up at the same time as the price of the underlying's going up. That just is not, I don't think that happens in index land. In index land, whenever the index is going up, volatility is just getting crushed because it's a different type of instrument. And I miss that. And so that's a key thing. And that's the thing you get. It's like you get a little bonus money if you take the extra risk. Granted, the indexes are less risky, but if you'll take the extra risk and get a single stock, you have a chance of making a little bonus points if you can get a market that's going up at the same time the underlying IV is going up. If you want to look, it happened to Tesla back in last summer. Remember when everyone was just in love with this thing and it was getting all kinds of upside and it doubled? Remember that? Well, you look at Tesla IV, run it, put a chart on here with Tesla IV right underneath it, and you'll see that its IV hit a high like last June. At the same time, Tesla was going up too. Anyway, all I was saying is Coinbase has been doing that. And that is a great feature that you can have in single names that you don't, like I say, you don't really get in indexes. Okay, and I just thought of another thing. The other side to that, and there's another side to every argument. The other side is when an index is going down and cratering, generally falls pretty solid. The thing is, I have noticed the opposite thing with Tesla. Notice that Tesla last summer, IV was going up at the same time price was, and they were, they had a huge tailwind. Tesla investors had a huge tailwind. Well, lately, have you noticed that, not this week because of earnings, and maybe last week Tesla vol picked up a little bit, but lately Tesla's price has been coming down at the same time Tesla's volatility is coming down. So, and anyway, there's a little different idiosyncrasies or idiosyncratic behavior between different underlines from Tesla to NVIDIA, and also different classes of underlines. So anyway, let's check out what old Vivix is doing. Vivix is pulled back, and Vivix is looking a little more positive. To refresh everyone's memory, Vivix is the VIX of the VIX. So it's the volatility of the volatility. So the VIX is a measurement, it's a metric that measures the volatility of the SPX options, S&P options. So Vivix measures the volatility of VIX options, which VIX options are measuring the volatility of S&P options. So it's kind of like a double derivative, but it can be a good kind of an early indicator sometimes for whenever something happens. And I bet if we look back at this, let's see what day it got out of its Bollinger Bands. It got out of its Bollinger Bands on the upside. And when VIX goes up, it's bad for the market. So April 10th. I'm just wondering if April 10th would have given us any kind of warning in the market, if that was or not. It doesn't always work either. Let's just look here at S&P and see. I mean, April, anytime we got out in April, it's been good so far, I guess, is the way just because the market keeps going down every day. But yeah, so April 10th was right here. Yeah, and that is actually what I would call a bearish divergence, because if you look at the candle, it's that green candle right there, and it's not outside of the Bollinger Bands. So the market's still a little bit stronger, relatively speaking. But at the same time, you have Vivix gave you a weaker signal by comparison. I'll start looking at Vivix and VIX divergences. They're really cool to look at around turning points. Sometimes you can tell. It gives you some good early warnings. Like I said, this one, it gave you an early warning because the VIX daily bar closed outside of the Bollinger Bands on the upside, which is anyway, and the market was not yet out of the Bollinger Bands on the upside. The theory being, go with Vivix, because people that buy VIX options are professionals. The theory of these types of systems, what I call VIX volatility divergences, they use VIX. You can use VIX futures, or you can use Vivix, or you can use different measures. You can even use the smart way to do it is using a ratio between the front month and one of the back month futures, or maybe a difference. But in any event, there's all kinds of different ways to track these things. This is just one of them. But in that case, what it told you is look out below, and it gave you about 1 day before the market actually broke. It was 1 day early. I mean, we could go back and look at other ones. Anyway, I'm going to start keeping an eye on that. I usually look at Vivix on a shorter time frame too, and it can tell you stuff that's going on intraday. We'll start looking at it more. But anyway, Vivix is interesting. Hopefully, you guys look at Vivix. All right, I'm going to check comments. I'm bored of talking. Tell me what you guys are up to. All right, I'm just going to read comments. So yeah, I knew you were in Whistler because I've seen your name, Brad. So do you know what the new YieldMax YBIT ETF will be using for volatility? YBIT is the spot Bitcoin ETF, right? I think, but it's YieldMax. So if it's YieldMax, they're probably selling options on spot Bitcoin. Or no, they probably own spot Bitcoin. I bet you what it is. If it's like other ones, they maybe own spot Bitcoin and they sell S&P options. That's all they do on Maxi. But yes, I have all two. Anyway, I'm going to catch up with the questions, but I'm interested in that one, whatever it is. Somebody tell me on YBIT. I'll keep reading. We'll catch up at the bottom. All right, coin will be going down for a while. Yeah, good point. Probably, unfortunately. We needed to know that like a week ago. We could have bought coin puts. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm just kidding. What will they be buying or selling to generate extrinsic revenue? If it's like Maxi, it's SPX. And SPX is, as you guys know, is probably the most liquid option in the world. What is the most liquid option in the world? Maybe SPY is even more liquid. But I bet it's SPX. But some of them do options on actual BITO, which has a liquid options pit, and that gives you a lot more direct, that's direct Bitcoin exposure. They do a synthetic long on BITO and then write calls on it. I mean, I think that's a ballsy ETF. If I was a Bitcoin bull, I would get that one. Maxi too, but anyway. All right. So wonder if YBIT will be the end of the month. Yeah, I don't know. I have not heard. I know you guys are talking to each other too. So the tweet today said next week. Okay. Oh, payout. It could pay out in May with others. Yeah, with the other singles. Yeah. I mean, if they get it going next week, and then it'll probably be ready to go for May. In the month. I was hoping middle. Yeah. Fund of funds. You don't think it falls in the fund of fund categories? Yeah, because ULTY doesn't go in the fund of fund categories either, right? Yeah, you're right. So only the singles would go in there. Yeah, and so Car Guy only has ULTY because of the Bitcoin play. Dude, ULTY is a genius idea if you have some money that you want to try to go for a higher return. When those guys hit some of those, they're going to return a lot, but when they miss, it's going to be, I wouldn't have ULTY as my core holding, but if I was if I had, a $2 million retirement and, and I had plenty of other, and I already had, triple QI and JPQ, and I already had the fundamental ones. Hell yeah, I'd get some Alti. I mean, because the Alti's like throwing a bomb. Alti's not a screen pass. They're stepping back in the pocket and they're going long. Alti's going deep. What's going to be? Okay, wait. I think Brad made a joke. He said, "Oh, and it might be like Max." Yes, I have Alti. I'm trying to think if they're making fun of me, and I know you guys are making fun of me. Oh no, you're talking about YieldMax like Maxi. I thought you guys were poking fun at me. Yes, it might be like Maxi, end of the month, exactly. Or no, it might be a Bitcoin play. I see you're responding to what I just said. I got it. Yeah. I tell you what, I'll find out and I'll try to have it in the morning. I will talk about it. Or if I come on tonight, I'll know and I'll try to find out the date. But yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, simplify Maxi. Yeah, Hail Mary. That's what I was trying to say. Long pass. But yeah, Simplify has Maxi, but Simplify, who has BITO? Well, wait, I think Simplify has BITO and Maxi. And anyway, um, you got a small position. Oh, yeah, nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, that I think you could have, I think the higher your net worth is, the bigger, or the more other investments you already have, the bigger, I would just have to have, I want to get some, I just started off in some of these high yields with the Defiance ones. I want to get some JEPQ and some JEPI just to round it out, and maybe even some QILG. But yeah, it's Round Hill. Okay, why BTC's Round Hill? That's right. Round Hill's a cool company. I was looking at, they have some cool ideas. I was on their site last night. Yeah, so YBTC, they have a synthetic long on BITO, which is badass, because that's same thing as being long Misty or Mister. That's synthetic. I mean, my gosh, when they hit it right, they can make a ton of money. Not to mention the premium they're bringing in. But yeah, that is YBTC is probably the most aggressive one out there right now, or the most aggressive. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one. All right, let's see what the market's doing. I'll still look at comments again in a second. I was just saying, so what time is it? I'm way later than usual. It's 7 o'clock. Let's look at a little 24-hour futures and see what's going on. Where do you guys think they're trying to get to on this chart? Hopefully right where they got to. There's these 2 days back to back. They have huge rejection tells. This day it went out of the Bollinger Bands, it rejected, ran the other side. Tons of buyers there. Maybe they came back to check it and see if those buyers are still intact. I don't know. Because, I mean, what I see down here, I see this big, huge gap right here that they could want to check. And they could also want to make sure these buyers that bought this right here are still intact. But hopefully this is the end of it. The end of it for now. And I always talk about sell in May and go away, or I have the past 2 days. And maybe so sell in May and go away doesn't mean the market crashes in May. It just means pulls back. So maybe it chops around the rest of the summer and does nothing. Usually the summertime sucks, because if you're doing option selling strategies, they don't bring in anything, because the volatility goes, you can't do a credit spread. There's no selling strategies available, but yet at the same time, there's not enough daily movement to do buying. I mean, oh my gosh, summertime is summertime can be very tedious. But the first of the year, and I've always loved October, September, October, those are the trading months. That's why I'm trying to get this, some of my systems. I'm making a video, but I'm trying to get a system together to start trading live in October. I'm making a video about it now. All right, guys, I'm going to check some more comments and see what you guys are up to. But let's look at, did we look at daily Bitcoin? I don't know if we ever did, but I think we were looking at 30-minute Bitcoin, and then I started talking about how Bitcoin was a precursor for risk assets. Well, and I was encouraged because I thought they'd turn around and started to go up, and we'll see. I mean, we shall see. Hopefully so. I don't, and everyone talks about the halving. Wonder if the halving doesn't save us. I don't, I don't even understand what the halving is. I mean, I understand what it is, but I don't understand why that's supposed to be. I guess, I don't know. Well, what I don't understand is, okay, I understand that I don't understand enough about it. So I listen to other Bitcoin people, and they say the halving is going to be bullish, and I trust them on that. But if everyone thinks it's going to be bullish and it's already baked in, right? That's not that you can't. I mean, that's what I'm afraid of. Or maybe that's what's happening right now. Maybe everyone's like, everyone thinks it's going to be the halving is going to be bullish. As the market's going the other way. The Max Payne theory, they always say the market does what it can to, upset the most people. And that's not really what it does, but it's looking for liquidity is really what it's doing. Wonder if it wanted to get these stops. It's right here underneath here. And it got those with this bar, and it's intending on, and these guys knew it, or they're planning on it going straight back up over the halving, but they just wanted down here before the halving to get these stops. You know, wouldn't be surprised. But in any event, if that is the scenario, that would be great for stocks too. Let's look at the 10-year. Now, this is interest rate, so it's like bonds, but it's inverse. We've been looking at this more because it affects TLT, and also it affects the market as a whole, and that is not bullish. Today's action is not bullish in the 10-year. It's getting stronger. We spent all day outside of the Bollinger Bands and moving. And remember, I showed you bond volatility. We overlaid the bond volatility on that last chart. The Bollinger Band system is you go with the way it's going. If so, sometimes you go against which way it goes, but you go with whichever way it's going if volatility is expanding, which is what we're doing in the bond market. So they're getting closes outside and volatility is expanding. Same time, if we got a close on the bottom side with volatility expanding like it is, we would also follow it that way. But yeah, so this is not a good precursor for risk assets. So maybe, I don't know. What do you guys think about tomorrow? And it's also OPEX. You know, it's not a quarterly options expiration. I'm going to read what you guys are saying. I should do a special live broadcast for the Bitcoin halving. And what I need to do also is learn what in the fuck the Bitcoin halving is before I do the broadcast. Study up on it a little bit, I mean, or learn, because what I'm worried is just, you know what I'm saying, but I'm kind of being a jerk about it. But I kind of think if something that everyone knows about isn't going to make it react the way everyone thinks it is, that's not the way things work. That's my opinion. Okay, let's see, Brad. I asked for opinions on the market. So Brad said, I'm being a bit bearish, expecting SPX to hit 47.48. Well, yeah, that's kind of bearish. That would get those gaps down there that were open. I mean, you know, they say all gaps are closed. It could do that, turn around and go up for the end of the year and still be a great year. Whatever. All right. Car guy saying S&P is so close to getting below 5,000. Yeah, it's a huge emotional level. If we go below, we will have a sell-off, even though we have big earnings next week. Sometimes it happens when something like this is going on. I've seen it happen before that some stock that has earnings will save us. You know, maybe Tesla. But then it can also be the scenario that a stock that has earnings will sink you. It'll just have a bad earnings report, and then it'll just turn the whole market around. All the rest of them will too. Okay, car guy. Miners can only produce 900 Bitcoins a day. So to go down to 450, so it's a scarcity thing. Yeah. Okay. And see, I understood that at the most basic level. The level I was kind of reacting against is just the level if everyone knows about it. But yeah, I get the fundamentally scarce. I get it. I got it. What's up, Echo? How you doing? How you doing? How did your little strangle situation go today? I'm gonna put on a chart of the SPX so I can think about it. But with the SPX selling off, I would imagine, unless you wet the bed, you probably did pretty well on your strangles. Volatility's been up, but I'll be interested to hear. I haven't been over to Discord in a while. I usually check in. What do you guys think about earnings tomorrow? All right, yeah, check. I'd be interested to hear. So we have Tesla earnings, or not Tesla earnings are next Tuesday. Tomorrow we have Netflix earnings, amongst others. I like earnings season. Is this right on? No, there's no way that's right on ULTY. Yeah, it probably is right, unfortunately. Oh my gosh. You got to be kidding me. Well, they picked a tough month to get started because those names are all super high beta names. And I mean, when did they start? Right about where the top was. Yeah, they're down 15. I mean, they're down more than 15%. Yeah, they're down like 50% from not, they're down like 25% from where they started, but it's probably like 50% on the month. Yeah. Well, oh well, feast or famine with those guys. And you could see that gigantic dividend. When you look at this chart, you got to remember, all right, this chart looks bad, but you got to remember this amount between the amount of this gap is in my bank account now, or whatever. Here's a good trick too. Or wait. You could do add data for dividends, and you can do this, and they adjust. They adjust for the dividends. And then it reflects that it doesn't take the money out of the chart. It leaves that money on the chart. Now, it doesn't compound it or give you more shares. It just doesn't, it just leaves it, in the pool of money. So it's like it, that's what it would be. I guess that's what it would be like if it didn't pay a dividend. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what it'd be like if they didn't pay a dividend, I believe. I have to think about it. What do you guys think about all this stuff? Okay, USOI in the 60s. Okay, well, hell, USOI is on my buffer report, and they're my new favorite. I mean, and you mean to buy the dip, you're going to load up on that and then try to get to take advantage of the high volatility to get a little premium, and then also hopefully ride USO back up. Because these things, if they're volatile enough, do track the underlyings, just not as fast. That's why I was on my little talk about the yield max. I'm just saying the good thing about the yield max ones is they have the ability for the underlying to be up at the same time volatility's up. They also have the reverse problem. Credit Suisse could just close that. Yeah. Credit Suisse has had some checkered. Yeah, it's an ETN for taxes. Yeah. I just like the concept of, I don't even know about any of that stuff you just said, Echo, but he's looked into it. I mean, I've never really looked into it. I just like that it's a covered call fund that uses a different underline. I like as many different underlines. I can't wait for them to come out with the dollar yield max, or Defiance has come out with a daily put option fund that tracks the dollar, and another daily one that tracks tracks gold. Do you guys know anything about GLDI? I think GLDI is the same thing as USOI. It's probably, I mean, I'm going to pull it up on my chart while you guys are discussing it. I have heard, or I'm under the understanding, it's been a while since I looked it up, so I almost don't want to say in case I'm wrong, but I thought GLDI was a covered call fund, a synthetic covered call fund. On gold, on the GLD index. But the thing I pulled up certainly wasn't. But anyway, I'm interested in all kinds of different underlines, because what have we learned? We've learned the underlines almost the most important thing there is, the most important factor to predicting success. It may be the number one factor to predicting success. I don't know. I actually think it's probably volatility. You have to have one with volatility increasing. That's the whole idea. You get that effective convexity, that tailwind. Yeah, Credit Suisse, X-Links, gold shares, covered call. That's exactly what it is. So they're probably both going out of business, right? Echo, but holy cow, look at that one. Oh, well, wait. I still have it set on don't take the dividends out. That's what it's really doing, though. I mean, that's what that's indicative of the investment. That's what the investment is doing. It may not be what the NAV is doing, but it's what the investment is doing. Let's reverse that and unadjusted for dividends. Still looks pretty darn impressive. That still looks pretty good. I'm going to overlay a little GLD, which is the gold covered call. Uh, well, I was trying to overlay gold so we can look at it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, well, gold has just been on a face ripper exactly. But then once again, so that's the key. The key is what we need to do is just all you need to do is find an underline that's going up, and then buy the yield max or the Defiance or the whichever fund is trading the covered calls on it. You'll get some money from the covered calls, and you'll get some money from the underlying going up. And what do you want to bet? I just have a feeling, just by the way this chart's behaving, that maybe gold gets more, is one of those assets that gets more volatile on the upside as it goes up. It might be. I think oil does. Yeah, oil does. There's some assets that are inverse, like as far as the volatility features of it. So it's having that's having an effect of convexity, a tailwind, because the investment's going the right direction anyway. And at the same time, you're basically in the selling volatility game. Volatility is also going up. You're selling it. I don't know if these guys do monthly or weekly, probably, I don't know. But anyway, and you're selling it as it's going and then, monetizing it. Anyway, yeah, that's a good one. Does anyone have any Gold Eye? Goldie, yeah, $1.06 dividend last month. They're killing it. Yes, somebody needs to do, okay, here's what I want. I want a yield fund that does a synthetic covered call on the VIX. Okay, so it's a long VIX, but it would sell calls. And what I want to do though, and VIX usually goes down, so it wouldn't be real profitable. I'm trying to find a way to get free insurance. What I actually want to do is do synthetics and buy 2 times the amount of shares you normally could with cash. And so do a 2 times long synthetic in the VIX. So you buy the 15 call, sell the 15 put twice. All right. Then every week or every month, whenever, how their expirations work, every time you need to sell it, you just sell one though. You just write one call option. Call options on VIX are super expensive. That's what the VIX reflects. So you just write one. So you hopefully get some income. And then, but you still have one, you still have VIX shares. So when the VIX goes to 80, I'm always trying to find a way of a free hedge, of a hedge you don't have to pay for, trying to be long and short at the same time. Anyway, I don't know. I've always thought that idea might work, is a covered call fund on the VIX where somehow you used a little bit of leverage to have some VIX shares that were unencumbered. It could go up, but at the same time be selling enough calls to support the broader scheme in any event. I know it's not much fun to look at the screen, but anyway, yeah, Goldie's a good looking fund, $1.60 dividend. That's huge. That's huge. But yeah, it's all about the underlying. So all we need to do, well, here's what we need to figure out. One underlying is going to be up 6 months from now. And then try to allocate towards yield funds that use that underlying. That's the hard thing, is it's easy to see what would have been the best thing 6 months ago. I mean, look at this perfect row in October of gold. Oh my gosh. Speaking of good precursors for risk assets, I mean, because gold is it's not a precursor for risk assets. I shouldn't say that. It's kind of the opposite because of its flight to safety. But gold, because of its industrial uses, is kind of a precursor for an economy that's heating up, and which is what's going on. Let's check out your little USOI. But I'm into diversification. So there's a ton of funds out there. There's the SPY, there's USO, there's TLT. I'm talking big funds with huge option pits that are the big asset classes, USO, TLT. There's a dollar one. And I think it'd be a great idea to have a covered call fund in all of them. So you have if money allows, I mean, as you get up to where you can afford to have more, still not more than 10 or 20%. And probably the more money you have, probably the less you would actually have. Probably you'd be 5 or 10% if you had money like Ethan does, let's say, because you wouldn't really need to, the extra, because we know now that it has side effects too. It's great to get the extra money, but you got side effects too. So if you didn't need to, they're still good funds to have, but you'd have 5 or 10% instead of 20%, because we know that it cuts into your total return. It's not that there's anything bad. It's just something to be aware of. Yeah, but it'd be great if you had a big enough portfolio, you could put 5% of your pick out 100 of these. This is what I would do in my dreams. Pick out 100 of these, and put 5% of your portfolio in this, and be making like $1 million a year just from dividends. And I mean, as you get to the higher levels, there's people that are probably doing that. All right. Well, USOI has taken a definite turn for the worse the past couple of days. Did somebody say what happened? Didn't they have bad news hit them, or is it just or is it just the USO market? I guess it's just USO. Brad, do you and Echo know each other? Anyway, Brad, or let me ask you this, Brad, are you in Discord with me anywhere? Because that's how I know Echo. I know Echo from Discord. I know a lot of you guys from Discord. How many of you guys are watching? This is some true Max fans, because we aren't really talking about anything. 10 watching. Well, I appreciate each and every one with you guys. I really am going to let you guys go and get on with my night at 7 o'clock. I have so I know this sounds weird. It's a great bachelor dinner. My HEB, which is a real good grocery store here, they have a really good deli, and they make the best fresh pizza. So you go pick it up and you take it home and cook it, and it tastes just like a New York pizza. Not quite like it, but it's that style. It's a New York style of pizza. It's the big pizza with I can't describe it, but it's a good dough for a grocery store pizza. But HEB is a grocery store on a different level. So I'm going to go preheat the oven and get that going. And I will talk to you guys in the morning. Oh, yeah, I see you're on the Rod Discord, Brad. I thought maybe I knew you were. Anyway, so you guys all know each other. We all know each other. We're all friends here. Yeah, Brad does options. Hell yeah, Brad does options. But so does Echo. Echo's an options expert now. You and Echo need to talk about his strangle method. We need to go. Someday we need to have a show on that, maybe. Maybe after Echo's has a month of data, he'll let us look at it or something. I don't know. Anyway. All right, guys, I'm just babbling. You guys have a good one. I got to go get something to eat. I'll be back in the morning, if not tonight. Probably in the morning, though, but maybe tonight. All right, guys. I appreciate all 10 of you.